Welcome to the Chrisman Commentary Daily Mortgage News Podcast. I'm your host, Robbie Chrisman. Topics on today's episode include M&A activity in the mortgage industry, my interview with AHMC's Matthew VanFossen on his new role as chair of state and local for MBA, and we have some big news from FICO out there for lenders. Looking for smarter home equity solutions? Established in 2016, Spring EQ is now one of the nation's leading non-bank home equity lenders, giving partners more ways to serve customers. Choose from a variety of products, including fixed line, their unique take on a fixed-rate HELOC, along with traditional HE-loans and HELOCs. Known for speed, service, and innovation, Spring EQ makes tapping into home equity easier. Learn more at wholesale.springeq.com. We're 2 days into the fourth quarter of 2025 and 2 days into another government shutdown. And companies are relishing their September numbers. I've been hearing from a few companies that had strong performance in September. For example, Union Home has been in the news lately, and the company had a record lock month with over 5,000 units and $1.67 billion overall in their channels. As noted a couple weeks ago, UHM announced the acquisition of the origination assets of Sierra Pacific, whose lock volume totaled $521 million for the month. So combined, that puts UHM with a total of $2.18 billion. Well, I'm glad I went into finance. Maybe I should have gone into law school. Yesterday, we learned that U.S. Supreme Court has ruled to let Fed Governor Lisa Cook keep her job pending January oral arguments. These oral arguments at the start of next year will focus on whether President Trump has legal cause to fire her. Yesterday's ruling allows the Federal Reserve to carry on with business at least through the end of the year, during which it is expected to approve 2 more interest rate cuts. And shares of TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian slumped today as FICO said it's going to license its scores used to assess a mortgage borrower's creditworthiness directly. Yup, FICO today announced a major shift in the delivery of FICO scores to the mortgage industry with the launch of FICO Mortgage Direct License Program. This means tri-merge resellers have the option to calculate and distribute FICO scores directly to their customers, eliminating reliance on the 3 nationwide credit bureaus. The shift will drive price transparency and immediate cost savings to mortgage lenders, mortgage brokers, and other industry participants. Firms that favor working through the credit bureaus can continue to do so. However, this change eliminates unnecessary markups on the FICO score and puts pricing model choice in the hands of those who use FICO scores to drive mortgage decisions. For today's interview, I want to welcome back to the show AHMC's Matthew VanFossen to talk about his new role as chair of state and local for MBA.
You are now chair of state and local for MBA. Can you talk about state and local, what that means and why you wanted to be chair, and fill the people in, please?
Well, Robbie, thanks. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and it's great to be welcome back. And yeah, I love being involved, and I did the 4 years of president of New Jersey Mortgage Bankers Association, tried to really put a lot of work in at my local MBA. And when William Cooper and Liz over at MBA National gave me a call and offered me the co-chair position last year, I willingly accepted. I knew that there was going to be a change from federal to state legislation with the new administration. And I kind of saw the writing on the wall, and we saw the downsizing of the CFPB. And I think that state and local is more important than ever. So, what is state and local? Well, state and local is the committee at the MBA that communicates with all the local chapters, with all the state chapters of regional MBAs and state-based MBAs. So what we do is we congregate together on monthly committee calls, and this is where we are able to network and find out what is going on at the state level across the nation. And that's really important if you're a multi-state independent mortgage banker.
Take me in the nitty-gritty of the role a little bit here. What are key agenda items? What's kind of your plan of action, goals for you, those sorts of things?
Well, whenever you get a committee chair, they always ask for feedback. I think MBA is really great at asking for feedback. What are things that you see out there? What are different key agenda items? Where can you really make a difference? And I answer that question a couple of folds this year. One was AI. I think that AI is something that has been taking the industry by storm, and we really need to know before we make too substantial of an investment in some of our AI technology, how state regulators are going to feel about this. Some of our regulations were written in the 70s and 80s, and they definitely do not cover things like consumer-facing artificial intelligence. So uh, getting clarity from the states. We've already seen some states like Colorado and Texas take initiatives and attempts to pass AI legislation. So I think getting in front of the states and educating the regulators is going to be a really, really big agenda item for me. Working with the MBA education committees, working with our state and locals, and working with Armor in particular, to go and try to educate the regulators on what consumer facing AI is. Let's not try to touch the systems that have been working and functioning, like business rule based systems for lenders for 20 years. But let's get clarity on, for example, upfront origination systems, AI application takers, how they feel about these systems that are consumer facing, and put the focus really on that so we know how we're going to be regulated in the future. So that's one key agenda item. And then other items are very straightforward. For example, CRA. We continue the fight and the battle for state CRA, where a lot of states, in particular my home state, New Jersey, right now, we're fighting a CRA legislation where we do not feel that CRA should be implemented on independent mortgage bankers. So we're continuing those, as well as several NMLS enhancements.
You talk about the relationship between national MBA and state and local, and I know you're very cognizant of the steps that you want to take or the moves you want to make in your career. So, kind of the importance of state and local MBA and why this was a good step in your interaction with national MBA or for furthering the industry or your own personal causes.
Well, yeah, it's another step up the ladder, and for me, it's about having our voice be heard. That I can interact with 50 mortgage professionals across 50 different states. We can come together. We can talk about where the key agenda items are. And the coolest part is I get to go to ResBOD meetings. I get to go attend the residential board of governor meetings at MBA where a lot of the policy decisions are made, and I get to have a voice there, and I get to communicate with decision makers that are setting agenda and policy, and that's really key. That means that 50 states of regulatory issues can channel through me, and then I can go be their voice to help drive MBA policy. And I thought that was a very natural progression for me.
So what are the best ways for people to get involved? I actually do admire you greatly for the ways that you live this industry. You practice what you preach, you get involved, you give back, you're out there advocating, you put a lot of time and effort into it, and I think that's very admirable. For people that are looking to get more involved, they follow your lead, maybe just take one foot in front of the other, one step at a time. Best ways to get involved.
Well, it's really, really easy. MBA makes it easy. You just create an account on the website. If your company's an MBA member, you can create an account at no additional charge. And then you go to the committees tab and you just sign up for the state and local committee. If you are running a mortgage company, you hear this, I recommend every compliance officer in the industry should be on this committee. When we meet, you're able to see all the states, all the action that's happening, and it's a great ability to network, share ideas, and find out what's going on. So if you want to get involved, I would definitely say just go into the website and sign up for the state and local committee.
Matthew, thank you very much, as always, for the time. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Las Vegas, and I wish you the best of luck in your new position here.
Thanks, Robbie.
A weak economy equals lower rates, right? Well, the weak ADP employment change report for September that came in at negative 32,000 versus plus 40,000 expectations invited more questions about the state of the labor market and gave another boost to already strong expectations for a 25 basis point rate cut at the end of this month. The U.S. government shut down as expected, so there will be no more votes on a continuing resolution until at least tomorrow, which will delay the release of the employment situation report from the BLS. Estimates vary about how many billions are lost in gross domestic product every day or week of the shutdown. Normally, today's jobless claims figures and factory orders would kick off the economic calendar, but both are expected to be delayed due to the partial government shutdown. So, later today brings job cuts from Challenger for September, Treasury announcing the details of the mini refunding, consisting of $58 billion of 3-year notes and reopened 10 years and 30 years for $39 billion and $22 billion respectively. Freddie Mac will release its primary mortgage market survey, and we will receive remarks from Dallas Fed President Logan. We begin the day with agency MBS prices a touch better than Wednesday's close, the 2-year yielding 3.54, and the 10-year yielding 4.09 after closing yesterday at 4.11%. Let's wrap up with a joke and some housekeeping. A policeman spotted an elderly lady driving while knitting. "Pull over," he screamed. "No, it's a scarf," she yelled back.
Thanks again to Spring EQ for sponsoring the podcast this week. It's one of the nation's leading non-bank home equity lenders, giving partners more ways to serve customers. Known for speed, service, and innovation, Spring EQ makes tapping into home equity easier.